Good morning. Ruben's doing a little kitchen cleanup behind me. You notice that? This is part 3, not 5, 3 of homemade tempeh making, and I have a lot of things to show you, so I'm going to get right to it. I made a list this time so I won't forget anything, and I'm going to first show you the first tempeh that I made that you saw in the first 2 segments, and then after that I'm going to show you my second tempeh that is that whizzing sound in the background is it being heated in the food dehydrator right now. So first I want to show you, this is my first tempeh in life. This is my pinto bean tempeh, and it ended up taking, I'm going to put it on this wood block and then I can show you it up close. It's delicious and beautiful, and it ended up taking a total of 45 hours in the incubator, which is my food dehydrator. So, as you can see, the Rhizopolis, what's the full name? I wrote it down, and I don't know if I'm pronouncing this right. Rhizopolis oligosporus. That's the particular mold that's used in tempeh. Completely blanketed it and got through all of the parts really nicely. So I don't know if you remember, but I was kind of worried because some of the pinto beans I hulled and halved, and some of them were left whole. And so there was kind of an overcooked, bit mashiness to the tempeh, and I thought, oh, it's not going to get enough. There won't be enough pathways and air for the mold to get in there. I kept poking it with my bamboo skewer throughout those 45 hours, and yeah, it works perfectly. So I think that this mold is really hardy and can do a good job, whatever its circumstances are. Now, I want to point out something. So, real basic knowledge of this tempeh mold is that it turns into a white blanket that kind of makes the tempeh into a brick. But then when it gets toward its late in life cycle, which it started to do when I pulled it out of the dehydrator yesterday morning, it had just started to do this, it will get, the spores get blackish, like charcoal colored, when they are germinating. So I don't know if you'll be able to see this very well. Yeah, you can totally see that. So that's what I'm talking about. Now, that's not very pretty, but it's perfectly fine for you. And I haven't tried it yet. I think it's going to be a little bit deeper and richer in flavor. But I let it out, left it to cool to room temperature before I put it in the refrigerator, because the mold is tenacious and strong, and it will keep developing. And it actually, so that was the only spot where it was when I pulled it out. And now this spot has a little bit of it too. So it's continuing to evolve in the fridge too. So you want to make sure it is room temperature. And I've just been keeping it in this. We're going to have tempeh Reubens tonight. I'm really excited. I did cook off a piece and it's awesome. Just in the pan with a little bit of oil. But I've been leaving this open so that it'll kind of continue to dry out a bit, because I think having those beans that were halved and hulled and kind of got a little bit mushy in the boiling process, that I think my tempeh is a little bit moister than most, and I definitely want it to stay fresh. So I think we'll probably eat this, half of this tonight and tomorrow, and then maybe I'll freeze part of it, because I do have a second batch that I'm doing that I want to show you. So overall, super happy with that tempeh. It was really fun to make. I used pinto beans because I have so many of them. I used my homemade plum wine vinegar, which I also have tutorials on making your own vinegar if you're interested in that. And then I used my starter culture and just incubated it in the dehydrator. Just a little, in case you didn't watch the other ones. But I'm going to grab the one that is currently fermenting. fermenting out of the dehydrator. So this one's doing really well. So different things that I did. I watched some tutorials and read some pieces online about homemade tempeh making. And the most time-consuming part for me in that first batch was trying without a huller to get those skins off each and every pinto bean and to have them. And I noticed that in the finished tempeh that I pulled yesterday after 45 hours of incubating, that was not successful in getting the skins off all of them because I only allowed myself an hour for that task. I noticed that the ones that had the skin around them were quite delicious and just the right texture, tasted great, and it didn't seem like they impeded the mycelial growth throughout the tempeh. So that combined with some tutorials that I watched and kind of gathering information, I decided to change one thing this time. And I think I mentioned that in the last video, that when you're doing a kitchen experiment like this, I think it's important, even though you might want to change a lot of things the second time around or the third or the fourth time around, you should try your best to only change one thing, because then you really have an easier way of saying, if you change one thing and then it's more delicious, less delicious, textures off, whatever differences, you can pretty much be sure that it's because of that one difference. But if you change a whole bunch of things, then you don't really know. Anyhow, the one thing that I changed is I left the pinto beans whole. It's doing awesome right now. So this went in when that one came out. So this one is at about 24 hours now, and it's fully, the rhizopus is like all around it. It's growing well. It's getting warmer. As you can see, it's no longer, I mean, this was just a bag of beans and then that powdery culture. So if I picked this up in the beginning like that, well, it would have just, the beans would have gone every which way as a bag of beans. So you can see that it's kind of a solid-ish brick now. So this is going to go back in, and I used some painter's tape to kind of keep the shape of it this time, and I'm doing the same thing with the bamboo skewer, but I'm not doing it as much. With the first batch, I felt really the need to continuously poke more holes because I thought that sort of mashed potato consistency of some of the ones that got cooked a little bit too much was going to impede the growth. But this one, I'm just checking on. I don't know. I'm excited about it, so I think I'm checking on it every 2 or 3 hours just to see what's happening and to monitor the temperature as things. Hang on. As things continue to ferment, it gets warmer. So you just want to kind of monitor that. So things that I want to tell you, because I feel like there are a lot of things this time. I told you about the germination period. Oh, well, this is a fun thing. So this starter culture, there's all different brands, and you can get it from all different places. I ordered it online. Was $11. I think that's a fair price. You know, it's 4 packets, so it makes, you know, I've made half of it so far with these two. However, what if I could make my own? So that black germination of the spores got me thinking about, well, can I capture that and can I use that for my next round? So I think what I'm going to do, and I might not do it this time, I might do it the next time, but there's a good amount you saw on the edges of that first cake of the black germinated parts. So I think I might cut those off and then put them on a mat and throw them in the dehydrator with the other tempeh. In fact, I'm thinking while I'm talking, and I'm definitely going to do that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to fully dehydrate that so that it's dry, completely dry. So I'll sliver it kind of thin. And then I'm going to grind it in my coffee grinder. And I'm going to try using that for my next batch. I think that I read in a few different places that that's what you want to do, and then you want to store it in a cool, dark place without any moisture, obviously. Maybe I'll throw a desiccant pack in it to keep it dry, but I think that seems really fun. I mean, if I'm going to be doing this more regularly, I'd love to find a way to, it's just like seed saving, spore saving, mold saving. So that's one thing I'll keep you posted on. Oh, the other thing is like I mentioned, I just want to really stress that the point of these videos for me has been just really fun to kind of think on my feet and do these kitchen projects seemingly with you. And I've gotten a lot of really fun correspondence from people doing this all over the country. Different food, so kimchi, nettle recipes, the vinegar. So that's really fun and stimulating, and it makes me feel good that we're connecting in that way. But I also want to stress that it's a way to sort of help people when they're thinking about these, maybe having more time in the kitchen during this coronavirus time. Substitutions and using them. I mean, because traditionally Indonesian tempeh, where this mold was originally harvested and domesticated, was and still is made with soybeans, but you can use any legumes. You can use beans, you can use peas, you can use lentils. I mean, the thing with fermentation is once you get the basics down, you can, substitute different ingredients. So pinto beans this time. The next time I made an order with milk run, I think I mentioned that in the last video, for cranberry beans, dried cranberry beans. So I'm going to use those the next time. If you're familiar with Italian barlotti beans, that's what those are. One other, so the next time my one change will be I want to use banana leaves. So I use what I have, which is, gallon Ziploc bags, which I'm reusing that one, and I'll probably use it another few times. I always do that with these types of bags. I use them to store frozen dumplings in the freezer, and I just reuse, or all sorts of things. But banana leaves are slightly porous, and they're the traditional way of fermenting tempeh, and you can just fold them over. They impart some flavor, and then, you're not warming a food in plastic for hours. It's not that hot of a temperature. It's 85 to 91 degrees is what I'm keeping it at, but it's still, I'd rather, and I also think that it's just beautiful. The difference is, and this will be nice as I've made it a few times, is you can't sort of peek at it as readily. So that's nice that, I can see what's happening through this. But from the tutorials that I've watched online, you can sort of, it is slightly porous, so when the mold kind of takes over, it peeks out of the fibers of the green a little bit. So you see this sort of cottony whiteness poking through. So you will be able to tell that it's happening. Another thing in the future that I'd like to do is simply, when it's a bit warmer, it has been quite warm. Today is kind of overcast and gray, but it's been in the 70s, but still my house is sort of kept that cool of like, it's an old house, it's drafty, and it's, anyhow, the ambient temperature isn't that warm, but I think that maybe in the summer I will just use my oven and just simply turn the light on in it. So what I've learned through doing, and not turn it on at all, and just, have a sign on it that says, please do not turn on, I've learned that this mold is very strong and wants to grow. So I think that if it takes a little bit longer, if the temperatures are lower, it will survive and it will prevail and it will coat and infiltrate that tempeh. If the temperatures are higher, I assume that the same will happen. It's just going to move faster. And I don't mind. Sometimes I've noted in life that sometimes the longer things take in food, slower, lower temperatures, the more developed flavors that you get. So I would like to do that. What else do I have? Oh, a really fun thing that I'm going to be doing tomorrow. So with my friends Claudia and Heidi, we organized the Portland Fermentation Festival. This past year was our 10th annual. And it's such a great thing in Portland for people who do fermentation professionally and who just love to learn about it, and people like me who just get really geeky and do all sorts of these projects at home, or just if you don't even ferment, you just love fermented foods, you come and try it. Well, the Florida Fermentation Festival is another fermentation festival. There are many in the country now. We are one of the first, if not the first, we're one of the first in the country. But the Florida Fermentation Festival is also every fall, and they are doing a spring virtual festival tomorrow. So tomorrow, if you are interested, I am going to be there. It's Eastern time all day, but from 9 a.m. Pacific time here to 9:45, I'm going to be going to Sandor Ellix Katz. So I've been mentioning him a bunch. His cookbook changed my life, and so many ways. I'm going to tell you about a couple interviews that I did with him too. That would be fun. But from 9 to 9:30 our time tomorrow, Sandor is going to be doing you can see the whole schedule at their website, which I didn't write down, but Florida Fermentation Festival, on sourdough pancakes made from scraps around the kitchen. So that's a super fun thing to do right now. I know a lot of people are working with sourdough and then, making pancakes out of the scraps. I actually, when I visited him the last time a few years ago, I interviewed him for The Believer. I stayed with him in Leopard, and pretty much every morning we had these sourdough scrap pancakes, and they're so good, and it's going to be really fun to kind of learn how to make them with everyone tomorrow morning. And then Tara Whitsitt, who so Sandor's come to our festival bunch, and Tara came once too, maybe more than once. She talked once. She is doing a Tempeh tutorial from 9:30 to 9:45, so it's short, but I'm really looking forward to that, especially with all this Tempeh making going on. So maybe I'll see you, quote unquote, there. I think with these, you usually can see people are commenting. It's an Instagram live, so you go to the individual's Instagram account, click on their live profile, and then you can watch. And then, when their 15.5-hour segment is over, then you can go to the next. I know that the Shockies are doing one as well. Theirs is maybe the first one of the festival tomorrow, so it's quite early. And I have a feeling that Jimbo and I are probably going to stay up late tonight, so I don't know if I'll make that one or not, but I would love to attend that as well. I'm big fans of theirs. So I think the last thing that I will talk about is just, because, this is almost 20 minutes now, is just some things to do with your tempeh. So I brought these out. So this is a book that I co-authored, Hello, My Name is Tasty. It has an awesome Reuben recipe in it. It's for a classic pastrami Reuben. So that's another thing that if you have a smoker at home and you have access to getting a brisket delivered or pick up at the grocery store, then this would be an awesome time to make it. It's so, so good. I'm making tempeh Reubens, and I've used the sauerkraut recipe from this book. I'll be making the Russian recipe tonight. I ordered from Milk Run. I also ordered I forget what it's called. It's like a hard German rye bread made with buckwheat flour. That's not going to arrive until Tuesday. But anyhow, there's a really good technique for making Reubens in here, and I'll just tell you basically we have a tuna canning group that goes to the coast every late summer, and I made a batch of these Reubens for everyone. I think it was maybe 8 or 10 of us, all at once very easily. So what you do is you take your whatever bread you're using and butter your pans generously, and then you face them, put your slices of Gruyere or whatever cheese you have. Like, we're not using any kind of Swiss or Emmental tonight. We're just going to have what I have right now, which is cheddar. Thinly sliced on each of those, and put them in the pan until they get nice and brown and kind of caramelized on the side that's facing down. And then you set your oven to, I forget what temperature. I'm going to say, 350. And then you get your sheet pans and you put little piles of the pastrami and the sauerkraut, or the tempeh and the sauerkraut. So I'm going to first pan fry my tempeh, Get it nice and golden. I think I mentioned that it's delicious, by the way. I just cooked one strip of it. Another thing, I halved the vinegar in this one because I used 2 tablespoons the first time. It's a little bit too sour. I can kind of taste the vinegar in a way that I don't want to. So it'll be more of a hint now. So I just used 1 tablespoon in this batch. Yeah, and then once the pastrami / tempeh and sauerkraut gets nice and warm in the oven, you take it out. You have all of your, you've used 2 big pans for that many, 8 to 10 that I'm talking about. Actually, you probably need 3 pans. Anyhow, and then you put a big dollop of Russian dressing on each. Basically, mayonnaise, ketchup, some minced onion, whatever sounds good to you, maybe some hot sauce. Big dollop on each. Put your pile of sauerkraut and tempeh or pastrami, and then put it all together. And that is a really great way to make Reubens so that every bit of it is cooked through, and the cheese gets nice and melty, gooey, and And then one other thing, so I have a lot of tempeh now, and I need some more things to do with it for fun. Like I like to find new things to do with it. So I have been cooking a lot. This is the newest edition of The Joy of Cooking, which came out this past fall. And it's a great cookbook for right now because it is comprehensive. There's so many, just about any ingredient that you have around that you don't know what to do with, you're going to find something in here, and probably numerous things. But I found a recipe for caramelized tamarind tempeh. I'm definitely going to make that. I have some tamarind paste in the fridge. That might not be something that you have around, but you could, use something sour and pulpy, or some ketchup and add some delicious vinegar to it. We're getting funky and trying new things here, but it has a lot of ginger and star anise and fish sauce, and you slice it and fry it, and so I'm going to try that. But I think that I got to everything. I showed you both batches. I'm guessing that this one is going to be finished, completed by the end of the day, because this one's going a bit faster, I think, because it was the whole beans instead of, it wasn't as compact to start, so the mold is having a much easier way kind of populating. So I'm guessing it'll be done at like 36 to 38 hours, which will be the end of the day tonight. So I don't think that I'll do another one of these on tempeh. Who knows? Maybe in the future I will. But I'm sure that I'll do another one of these videos at some point in the near future, because it's been really, like I said, just so nice to feel that I can connect with people near and far during this coronavirus time when we can't actually be in each other's presence unless we're 6 feet apart. Reuben and I have been, in these videos we've been even honoring that. I think he's never been closer than 6 feet, so that's good, right, Reuben? He's tired today. It's a great day. But I hope that you have fun making tempeh if you make it, and wish you all the best and lots of love your way. All right, I'll see you soon. Bye. Have a wonderful day.